ready? All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the May 26th meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission for the City of Denison. It's our custom that we begin each one of our meetings with an invocation and a pledge of allegiance. If you'd like to join us, I'd ask you to stand at this time. Father, we come before you this morning, Lord, again, grateful for a place that we call home, a place called Denison, Lord, and we ask that you would be with us today as we conduct the business of our city, and we pray that your blessings would be upon us and your guidance as well. In Christ's name we pray, amen.
I would ask you to join with me on this Memorial Day Tuesday as we say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, you may be seated. Just a little housekeeping before we actually get into our meeting this morning. The Planning Commission is a recommending body, meaning which, with the exception of plats and site plans, which our decisions are approval on, other cases will be passed on to the City Council for final approval, and that will be on
June 15th.
June 15th meeting. When we get to the case that you're here for this morning, public hearings will give you an opportunity to come to the lectern and speak. I would ask that you would please give your name and address for the record, and then we will go ahead. Felicia, let's impose the 3 minutes today, please. Okay. All right. That being said, we are going to move into. Here comes Mr. Sylvester. Are we going to change?
Okay.
Things happen, folks. Okay, we're going to go into the consent agenda. Item 4A. Let the record reflect that I was not present for that meeting, so I will be abstaining from vote on the minutes, please.
I also will abstain.
You don't have to abstain. You can still take
Oh,
a,
okay.
yeah, yes, sir. You both can still vote on this.
Okay.
Thank you, though.
All right. Any errors, omissions? Okay, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve the minutes of the meeting of May 12th, 2026.
I'll second.
Have a motion with a second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, let's move into our public hearings. I'm going to open public hearing 5A. Ms. York?
Thank you, sir. Good morning, everybody. Item 5A is receive a report, hold a discussion, conduct a public hearing, and make a recommendation to rezone approximately .98 acre tract of land, commonly known as 2016 McGregor Drive, from the commercial district to the light industrial district. This is case number 2026-23Z. This is an aerial view of that subject property. Juanita to the west, McGregor to the north. Your survey for the property and a conceptual plan. I'm going to go back to the aerial just to kind of give you a little bit of an idea. So this property is kind of or the properties adjacent to this one are kind of outliers. This whole area is zoned commercial and light industrial, with the adjacent properties to the west and east of this property being zoned residential. However, light industrial is directly across the property, so this does not create a spot zoning issue. Sorry, this is on a delay a little bit. So the applicant is wishing to rezone that property from the commercial to light industrial district to accommodate the development of a warehouse. The commercial district requires conditional use permits for warehousing type of uses. So zoning to light industrial just gives them a straight path forward to the desired development. Approval of the proposed rezone will allow them to move forward with submitting development applications such as the site plan and civil engineering plans. The property is already platted. Per the future land use plan, the subject property should be developed in a mixed commercial manner and is designated as a revitalization area. Rezoning to light industrial complies with that mixed commercial designation, And then any new development is gonna meet the intent behind a revitalization area per the comprehensive plan. Staff recommends approval of the request. I'm present for any questions you may have, and the applicant is not here, but I'm happy to answer anything that you may have.
Any questions of staff? Okay, seeing none. Applicant's not here, did you say?
That's correct.
Okay, is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak on this case? Anyone here? All right, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. I'll entertain a motion.
I move to recommend approval of changing the zoning of the subject property from the C Commercial District to the LI Light Industrial District.
Have a motion?
I'll second.
Have a second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. We will now open item 5B.
Thank you, sir. Item 5B is receive a report, hold a discussion, conduct a public hearing, and make a recommendation on a request to rezone an approximately 1.936 acre tract of land commonly known as 315 West Coffin from the LMF2 multifamily residential district to the LR local retail district, case number 2026-22Z. This is an aerial view of that subject property. You have Austin Avenue to the east, and south is Coffin Street. Kind of southeast of this property is Sonic, so you have an idea of where the property is located. The property is currently split zoned between the MF2 and the local retail district, with the MF2 zoning taking up the northern part of this property. The applicant is wishing to move forward with redeveloping that structure into an event center, which requires a conditional use permit in the local retail district, and that is a companion item on this agenda. Prior to moving forward with that CUP, though, we need to clean up that zoning. We need to get rid of the split zoning. And so that's what this rezone request is for. The future land use plan does designate this area to be developed in a mixed commercial manner and is designated as a revitalization area. Rezoning this property to the local retail district does comply with that mixed commercial designation. As I stated, there is a companion item on this agenda, but we can talk about that case when we get to it. Staff recommends approval of the request, and I'm present for any questions you may have. The applicant is here as well.
Okay, any questions of staff? All right, would the applicant like to come forward? Good morning. Name and address for the record, please.
My name is Veronica Garcia, and I will be representing the owners of the property.
Okay.
I think more than anything, as far as this particular hearing, this particular section is more or less to be able to reconcile from commercial mixed use to only retail.
Okay. Any questions of the speaker? Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else here want to speak on this case? Okay, seeing none, I will close the public hearing, and we will entertain a motion.
I move to recommend approval of changing the zoning of the subject property from the MF2 multifamily residential district to the LR local retail district.
Have a motion?
Second.
Have a second. George there. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. We'll open item 5C.
Thank you, sir. Item 5C is receive a report, hold a discussion, conduct a public hearing, and make a recommendation on a request for approval of a conditional use permit to allow for hall, reception, banquet, meeting use at property commonly known as 315 West Coffin Street. This is case number 2026-64 CUP. Once again, this is the aerial view of that subject property, 315 West Coffin Street. I'm gonna hang tight on that slide for just a second. So the applicant is seeking an approval of a conditional use permit to allow for the operations of Paloma Event Center under the use of hall, reception, banquet, meeting for this property located at 315 West Coffin Street. as you guys, or as this commission recently recommended approval for the rezoning, section 28.49, use regulation charts, requires that this use requires a conditional use permit within the local retail district. The applicant wishes to remodel the existing structure to accommodate the event center focused on family events, and they have proposed hours of operations to include Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 9 p.m., Friday to Saturday, 10 a.m. to 12 a.m., and Sunday, 12 p.m. to 9 p.m. Staff does recommend including the proposed hours of operation as a condition of the conditional use permit. This structure doesn't have a pleasant history. We have been working, I will say before I continue, we've been working with Ms. Veronica and the property owners from a staff perspective for over a year now, going on 2 years, trying to just make sure that this conditional use permit is successful for them as well as for the city. But we do believe that given the history, and there are some residential uses to the west, that hours of operation should be a condition of this conditional use permit. In addition to remodeling the existing structure, the applicant is proposing to redevelop the existing parking lot and to provide landscaping. At the time that I wrote this staff report, we only had a parking plan. We didn't have a landscaping plan. However, we have been provided a landscaping plan. We still need to review this and confirm the parking plan and the landscape plan with our public works team as well as our fire marshal's office, just to ensure that we're not approving anything that would go against their standards or prevent ingress and egress. And so staff does still ask, as part of my staff report, that a condition be placed on the conditional use permit that a parking plan and landscape plan is provided to be reviewed and approved by staff. Bear with me one second. The only other condition that staff is recommending, as I mentioned, the applicant and the property owner are proposing to remodel the existing structure. We just want to make sure that all building and fire codes are met through that remodel. And so staff is asking that that also be a condition on the conditional use permit. Oh, excuse me. The future land use plan does designate this area to be developed in a mixed commercial manner and is designated as a revitalization area. We do believe that, given that the existing structure has been vacant for quite some time, that the proposed remodel and activation of the structure and the beautification of the site meets the intent of a revitalization area. So we do believe that the proposed conditional use permit is compliant with the future land use plan and comprehensive plan. As I mentioned, staff recommends approval of the request with the following conditions, and I do believe these are outlined in the staff report. And so when you make your motion, if you feel these conditions are appropriate, please do include those in your motion. But those conditions include that staff has provided a parking plan and landscape plan to be reviewed and approved prior to construction or installation, establish hours of operation in line with the project narrative, and all building and fire codes are met as the structure is remodeled. I'm present for any questions you may have, and the applicant is here as well.
Questions of staff? Okay. The applicant like to come back? Okay. Y'all have any questions for the applicant?
I do.
Okay.
I see from your letter and from what the staff has already provided, do you need her name and address again?
No.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
need her
her
address.
address,
I don't.
please. Okay, we need your address.
My address,
Yes.
it's 1305 East Lamar and Sherman.
Thank you very much. The questions I have is, your letter, or the letter, specifically talks about a dry pipe or wet pipe. You're putting an additional water line to get to the sprinkler system. The hours that where staff is talking about for condition for operation are the hours that you proposed, that the people who are developing it are going to propose. And then I would suspect that the parking and the landscaping plan, if there's any issues, since you've been working so well with staff, you'll incorporate that. So are there any issues with the conditions that we are talking about that you have an issue with?
I mean, like, we've been working closely with Diane and Alicia for quite some time now, and I think that we're all in agreement. We've tried our best to be able to collaborate with the city. It's very important to us, especially maybe even washing your car on the way to Armstrong, something like that. But I do feel like it would be a good option for this to be approved, making sure everything looks nice.
Yeah, thank you very much. Just to reiterate, you have no problems with these conditions, though?
No problem.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else here want to speak on this case? Okay. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. I'll entertain a motion.
I move to recommend approval of a conditional use permit to allow for the use of a hall, reception, banquet, meeting for Paloma Event Center with the following conditions.
Have a motion?
I'm not done yet.
She needs the
There's a second
conditions.
Oh, you gotta read the conditions? Okay, I thought you already.
It's okay. The applicant provides a parking plan and landscape plan to be reviewed and approved by staff. Hours of operation include Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 9 p.m., Friday and Saturday, 10 a.m. to 12 o'clock midnight, and Sunday, 12 p.m. to 9 p.m. All building and fire codes are met as the structure is remodeled.
I'll second.
Have a second? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, let's open item 5E.
Thank you, sorry.
We're gonna do D or E?
I thought we'd already done D.
I think
Is that
it's,
C?
I think that was that C? Okay,
Okay, my bad.
All right.
So item 5D, we'll open 5D.
thank you. I appreciate you, Kurt. Okay, item 5D, receive a report, hold a discussion, conduct a public hearing, and make a recommendation on a request for a conditional use permit to allow for an auto dealer used at property commonly known as 519 South Armstrong, case number 2026-42 CUP. This is an aerial view of that subject property. The property is zoned light industrial and is off of South Armstrong Avenue. The applicant is requesting the conditional use permit to operate an auto dealer used at the subject property. As I mentioned, the property is owned light industrial, and it does appear to have been developed in a manner accommodating a car dealership in the past. However, the site has been vacant for several years. Per section 28.49, which is the use regulation chart, the use of an auto dealer use requires a conditional use permit within the light industrial zoning district. The applicant is proposing to make minor improvements to the site, and per the project narrative, they are proposing to paint the existing structure, which you can kind of see here on the picture, but they do not intend to remodel the structure. Staff have made the applicant aware that if the structure is remodeled, it will need to meet the current building codes. We discussed this in the pre-development meeting that we had with the applicant. In addition to painting the existing structure, the applicant is proposing to add landscape planters near the existing structure and along the frontage of South Armstrong Avenue in an attempt to meet the landscaping requirements. This site, as you all are aware, is already developed, full concrete, asphalt. So just like what we have done in the past with some of our auto conditional use permit related uses, we are just asking for planters to be placed instead of asking them to bust up the concrete or asphalt to meet the minimum requirements of the landscape ordinance. City staff are still awaiting a submittal of a survey. I don't know if that is coming in the near future, but we will have to have that. Looks like property owner has that in hand. Awesome. We will have to have that in order to compile an ordinance. So that was one of the other conditions that we were going to ask, but since we already have that, there's no need to move forward with that condition. Per the future land use map or plan, the subject property is to be developed in a mixed commercial manner, and it designates this area as a revitalization area. The proposed use does comply with the future land use plan, and the activation of the site and the minor improvements meet the intent of a revitalization area. Staff does have several conditions to be placed on the conditional use permit. If the commission feels that those are appropriate, please do include those in your motion. But those conditions are landscape planters are located near the existing structure and along the frontage of South Armstrong Avenue. Open storage of material is prohibited. Repair of vehicles is prohibited. And parking of vehicles for sale must be located on improved surfaces. Parking on grass or unimproved surfaces is prohibited. the overall site appears to be an improved material, but just to make sure that we avoid any issues in the future, we would like for that condition to be placed on the conditional use permit. I'm present for any questions you may have, and the applicant is here as well. Yes, sir.
You're accepting of that survey?
He'll have to email it to us.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
But you're confident that it's okay?
I'm sure it is, yes. If not, we'll table the item at council, if necessary.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions of staff? All right, is the applicant here today? Would you like to come forward? Name and address for the record, please.
My name is Chris Butler, and personal address or?
Yes.
Facility.
Yeah.
Personal address is 5274 North McDonald Street, Melissa, Texas, 75454.
Okay. Anything you want to add, or do we have any questions for the speaker?
None of the conditions bother you at all?
Say that again?
None of the conditions bother you at all?
No, sir.
And no intent to remodel?
No, not at the moment, no, sir.
Anybody else?
I'm sorry, I forgot this one. Hours 9 to 6 is not a problem, Monday through Saturday?
No, that's totally fine from a staff perspective. We didn't feel the need to include those in this condition. I know that they are adjacent to a residential property, but the overall use is very low in intensity. If the commission feels that it's appropriate to include them, we definitely can, but we didn't feel the need for this one.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, sir. Anyone else here to speak on this case? Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing and, whoa,
I think
Mr. Earnhardt.
Oh,
is
I
Mr.
didn't-
Earnhardt wanted to speak.
no, it's
No,
too
not at
late.
all.
No. Cut him back to a minute and a half if you would, though. Just-
1843 Yard Road, Denison, Texas. We bought the old Gladden Motors building. It has been vacant, like she mentioned, for quite a few years, knowing that we could find a tenant, put in here, and that we would improve that property. So we initially found a tenant to come in here, and our plan is to revitalize it, just like any other building we find in this area. Any questions for me?
I think so. Thanks, sir. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off this time. You have a question, George?
Yeah, Diane, there's some restrictions as far as the fire company is concerned, whether or not they can access the property in the event of a fire or emergency. Does this conform to that?
Yes, sir. We met with the applicant in a pre-development meeting, and the fire marshal was present for that meeting, and he's kind of helped kind of line out where a fire lane needs to be. It will be something that we have to take a look at from a plan standpoint before they make the painting improvements, things of that nature, so that the fire marshal can approve it with their certificate of occupancy. But they did not have any issues with, given how close they are to the street. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, so now we'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
I move to recommend the approval of a conditional use permit to allow for the use of an auto dealer used with the following conditions. 1, the landscape planters are located near the existing structure and along the frontage of South Armstrong Road. 2, open storage of materials is prohibited. 3, repair of vehicles is prohibited. And 4, parking of vehicles for sale must be located on an improved surface. Parking on grass or unimproved surfaces is prohibited.
I'll second.
Have a second? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Let's open 5E.
Thank you, sir. Item 5E, receive a report, hold a discussion, conduct a public hearing, and make a recommendation on a request for a conditional use permit to allow for an auto dealer used at property commonly known as 301 North Houston Avenue, case number 2026-45 CUP. The applicant is seeking approval of a conditional use permit to allow for an auto dealer used operation located at 301 North Houston Avenue. The subject property is zoned commercial and has been developed in a non-residential manner. Per section 28.49, which is the use regulation chart, the use of auto dealer used requires an approved conditional use permit within the commercial district. As the site is developed in a non-residential manner, the applicant, never mind that sentence, scratch that. The applicant stated that all vehicles in inventory will be parked interior to the property and will not be visible to the public. The intent is a highest scale used auto dealer. So they won't have a huge inventory on site, but they will have some. And if you're familiar with this property, we've had a conditional use permit here before for boat repair. The property is entirely screened. So if there are several cars on the site, they will all be interior to the property. The applicant is providing customer and employee parking on the south side of the property. I think that is depicted within the project narrative as a backup to your agenda. They are also proposing to add landscaping throughout the property to include landscape planters along the east side of the building. It's kind of hard to see here, but you can kind of see on the left picture that parking is going to be on the south side, and then where the bay doors are, they'll be unloading or loading cars in and out of the property. They're also, in addition to those landscape planters, I want to point to the picture on the right. They are proposing to sod or put grass in that area that right now is kind of broken up gravel, broken up asphalt, and then just patches of grass. So that will add some appeal to the visual appeal to the site.
I don't know, can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
I don't know if this matters, but on our agenda,
Oh, it's wrong.
okay.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
We can talk about that later
okay.
if you'd like.
I'm sitting there going, whoa, Houston?
Memorial Day was not very kind to Diane and her timeline. So, per the future land use plan, the subject property is to be developed in a mixed commercial manner. The proposed use does comply with the future land use plan. Staff does recommend approval of the request with just a few conditions similar to all of the other conditional use permits. If the commission feels that they are appropriate, please do include them in your motion. Those conditions include including landscape planters along the east side of the building. Open storage of materials is prohibited, and repair of vehicles is prohibited. I'm present for any questions you may have, and so is the applicant.
Haven't we seen this building before?
Yes, as I mentioned just a second ago, we've had a conditional use permit come through for boat repair. That use has ceased, and so this building has been vacant for a little bit of time since that previous operation.
Okay.
I will also state that there were some conditions placed on that previous conditional permit that were not met, so if,
That's what I was thinking.
yes, sir.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry to interrupt. Any questions of staff? All right, is the applicant here this morning?
My name's Dustin Monroe, located at 3609 Clover Drive, Sherman.
Anything you want to add to it?
So our dealership, so we're actually located in Sherman currently. We've been open for about 3 years. I'm born and raised in Denison, so I've wanted to move it to Denison for quite some time. We found this building. It is much bigger than our current location. All of our cars are stored indoors in the actual building as a warehouse style. We typically sell luxury cars, the majority out of state. Buyers are typically our buyers. We don't do any repairs on site. Actually, all of our repairs are done at President Whippin Motors here downtown. So for us, the move is a lot nicer because it's easier for us to get our cars repaired versus me trailering them from Sherman to Denison every time.
Any questions, of the speaker?
I enjoyed looking at your website. Obviously, the reviews are really, really good. I do have one concern. The comment about this is why we can't have nice things, and then the revving of the car.
So that was just a customer that came by, and he was showing off his car. Where we're at over there is in a complete residential area, so there's no houses nearby, and he was just showing off actually to the dealership next door.
Okay, I just have a little concern about the mindset there.
So no, there will be no revving, no revving.
Okay.
All right, thank you, sir. Anyone else here to speak on this request?
Jonathan Earnhardt, 110 South Houston Avenue, Denison, Texas. They did put sod in this picture, and they mentioned it. I know she didn't say it in the requirement, but that is actually 24 inches of crushed crushed rock under there. They taxed me for it on the tax roll, but even when we dug those posts up, I mean, it was built as before my time, but most people know it as, it was like a big industrial equipment repair facility. So they packed that dirt all the way down. So I just almost think, besides that the road, anything behind the curb that was owned on property was packed with 24 inches of rock below. And it was near impossible to do that fence. I couldn't imagine trying to dig it all up to put some grass. It probably wouldn't survive. So I just wanted to say that. And if y'all have any questions, I'm here.
Any questions, Diane?
So I do believe the reason why the applicant included this is right now that gate is accessed. And so if there is not going to be any landscape or any kind of sod that's going to be put down, how's that going to be mitigated? Because it can't be used for driving unless it is an improved surface.
I don't think anybody used it the last few times, except I think on move out, it might have been moved to get something out that was stuck, but gate doesn't really operate just the way it was. So everybody used the other gate. It's a large automatic gate that's about twice as wide and turns into the doors. And then these doors are facing outside. So that driveway was just never used. Plus, it was a little bit harder to get in and out on busy street where the sides gained real wide there and more common to use. So, it does. You could definitely put planters or something there. I just think when you're trying to dig that up, you're talking a major ordeal trying to get that crushed rock out. If you actually pull it up on the county's website, it says that real clear, lot 24 inches deep in improved surface.
So I do think that there is an opportunity to add some visual aesthetics to this area. So I would be interested to hear what that could be. I don't know if this is the right forum to do that in. I know the previous applicant was supposed to do exactly what is here and to plant a tree, and obviously if the ground does not accommodate that, we would like to be mindful of that. But my main concern is access. And so if that gate is inoperable, great. But there's a driveway approach there. And if there's also the gravel that's there. And so I don't know from a city perspective how we can prevent that unless we list it as a condition on the conditional use permit. That no access on the east side of the property. And then we would need to have some discussions on how we could use that area for the landscaping or what the case may be prior to council.
Yeah, and I think if that's added as a conditional use, you could do the exception unless they improve the surface. So they could, if they decide they want to use that gate, improve the surface.
Is this something you want to look at that we couldn't add to the recommended here by talking about planters to the east side and south side as well, and or table it?
I would hate to table it just because it kind of elongates the process for them. May I think for just a second? So the way that we have, thanks to the state, we have elongated kind of the time between P&Z and council. And so there is an opportunity, there's another Planning and Zoning Commission meeting date prior to the noticed council meeting date of June 15th. I believe that was the date that I gave you at the beginning, yes. So there is a Planning and Zoning Commission meeting on June 9th. If we wanted to kind of talk this over with staff and figure out how to either address this, make it a condition, it doesn't interfere with your council meeting date. We could bring it back before the commission on June 9th with new recommended conditions, and then the commission could take it from there if that's appropriate, if everybody's okay with that.
But we're also willing to do the planters on that side, and put it as a condition. And then hopefully the gate can be used, and then if we could just do the
So I don't think this is the time to be negotiating on the conditions, right? We're trying to do that before we get to this meeting so that we're all clear moving forward. So I would take Ms. York's recommendation of let's have this conversation outside of this meeting, bring it back on the 9th, and then we're set to go to council. Either way, it doesn't mess up the timeline for you, sir, but I don't want to get in a situation where we have different understandings and we're having to come back to you and say, Jonathan, this is not what we agreed to. So we don't want to get into that, right? We just want to avoid that, make sure that we're all on the same page, that you guys are on the same page from whatever lease agreement you have and who's responsible for that, so that we can move this forward as best as possible.
Does not, that's okay, that's okay. It doesn't interfere with the already existing timeline. There's just this huge gap of time, which gives us a good opportunity to iron this out. And gives you, as the commission, a chance to review the new conditions or how we're addressing this side of the property, and then send you to council with no issues.
Are you saying, Mary, you don't want us to give you guys ideas of how I'm looking at this, what I would think would be appropriate, maybe?
I think that as the commission, it's on you to tell them what you would like to see as it pertains.
I'm okay with the planners, but maybe we take this one step further and to block that approach, maybe we do some sort of a pipe, low pipe fence across there to keep vehicles from going into that section. And then maybe instead of just the regular rock that's there, maybe we ask them to cover it with a decorative kind of rock that would make it look more like a garden and less like a parking area.
I will tell you, for other conditional use permits, how we have navigated multiple driveway approaches is we've asked them to curb them up and create a landscape strip. And so this wasn't something that we discussed in the pre-development meeting, but it has been a condition that's been placed on other conditional use permits in a similar situation. I don't know if that, a fence, I don't think, we can always discuss that with the applicant in Public Works. I don't know if Public Works would be supportive of that, but just so you have an idea of how we handle them with other ones.
But it sounds like there's a couple of options and a couple of things that need to be developed. So tabling is always an option, and it does not affect the timeline because ultimately the city council is going to have to approve this.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay, anybody else? So what, are we gonna go ahead and move forward with the approval of, are we gonna
If you-
table this or to the 9th? Or what we're gonna
I recommend, staff recommends that you would table the public hearing to the June 9th Planning and Zoning Commission meeting.
do? Okay, all right. All right, so I need a motion to table this item until the June 9th meeting.
We need to close the.
So we gotta close the public hearing, yes. So, well, wait a minute, no. Do we wanna close the public hearing or leave it open so we can have discussion?
Leave it open?
Yeah, so let's leave it open. We're just gonna table the item and we'll continue it on June 9th. So,
Need a motion for that?
yes,
I move that we table case number 2026-45 CUP, the recommendation on a potential for a request for a conditional use permit at the used auto dealer on the property known as 301 North Houston Avenue.
have a motion?
Until June 9th.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay, here's a second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All right, item 6, staff updates.
We don't have any.
No staff updates, all right. Item 7, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn the meeting.
Have a motion with a second to adjourn. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
We stand adjourned at 10:41 a.m.